Well, guys,
grateful.
guys, I have to say this is an absolutely fantastic film. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So I guess, Paul, my first question is for you. Tell us a little bit about where this idea came about for you for this film in the first place.
Sure. So I grew up in Brooklyn, and I grew up in the 80s, and to me that was like, the birth of hip-hop was earlier than that, but I grew up in an era when hip-hop was coming around and becoming popular, and I always loved it growing up. So when I went to film school, cut ahead, I always wanted to make movies about New York and growing up there, and just so I wanted to include New York hip hop, a coming of age story. I always love a Rocky style film or a Saturday Night Fever, so I wanted to do my own version and include hip hop culture, and black culture, and make my first film.
Definitely. Arnstar, for you, music has been such a big part of your life. What was it like for you when you sat down and read this script? What made you really want to be involved with this film?
To be totally honest with you, it was Paul. Like, we had such a unique meeting, and we had a conversation. One of our first conversations just really opened up the fact that there was a communication that was beyond director and actor. And so when that when that revealed itself, I knew that there was something special about, there was signs all over the place, but just really having a conversation with Paul put it in the area for me that made me just fall in love with understanding that this character, like, needed me, and I needed the character. I needed Max.
Awesome. And as I mentioned, you've got such a proud history in the music industry with your father. How much research did you actually have to do to get into this character when you were sitting down and getting ready to play the character?
To be honest with you, it was a role carved out for, like, my personality that I actually lived in 2016. I mean, I've grown since then. It's about years later. So it's not too far, but it's not exactly the same. And I can see the differences now as time goes by. But during that time, I definitely had like a Rocky story as far as, just how that movie is depicted and really battling life, taking care of my grandmother, having conversations with my brothers. None of them have been like too much of the same story that my brother has in the film, but have had that story before. So it was really just going into the past, even looking at some sorts of present that I had in that time and putting an accumulation of it together. Like, where was I in this part of my life that Max need this part of me to come out? And so just applying it. So my life kind of set the format for it.
Definitely. Paul, you said before that you really wanted New York to be part of this film, or Brooklyn to be part of this film. Tell us a little bit about what it was like going out there on the streets of Brooklyn to film this film, and how you went about making the city part of this film as well.
Well, growing up in New York, I have a vivid memory of what it was like when I was a kid, and I also see how it's changed over the years. Brooklyn is like, changed so much, and I wanted to just carve out a certain part of Brooklyn that reminded me more of when I was a kid, and more of, I wanted to set and make it kind of timeless as well. So I didn't want to really stamp it like it was now or then. I just wanted to use parts of New York that haven't really changed through gentrification so I wanted to keep it industrial and under the bridges and that kind of feel very in the street and not with a lot of technology. So I really time trying to compose the film in that way, using the bridges, the streets, the cobblestones, the alleyways to give a sense of space that just, that Max would occupy. And so that using that and the black and white kind of separated you and put you in that place and took you a little bit out of, today's modern Brooklyn.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
So, Paul, tell us also a little bit about what this was like for you to step up to make a feature film, because, of course, you've had a very successful career making competition TV. What was that like, that big change to go and do a feature film? I'm sure all the filmmakers out there are really keen to hear that.
Yeah, David, this was like one of the best experiences of my life. I at the heart of it, whether it's competition shows or the film, I've always wanted to tell stories and people's stories. And even in the competition shows that I do, they're really about the people and their passion. Like, that's the part of the shows that I really drive towards. And that's what excites me every day. So going out and being able to put my ideas on a piece of paper and make them come to life by pure, it took me a long time. I'm in my 40s, and I've always wanted to do it. And when I met my wife, she was like, "Well, you have to make your dreams come true." And so I really just took everything I've learned from the shows, from my experience in documentaries, and brought some people along to help me, and used what I had to make the film. And it was really such a learning experience, and I just can't wait to do it again.
Definitely. Arnstar, turning back to you now, you mentioned before that this is a very kind of rocky storyline. Tell us a little bit about what you did to get into the head of Max as a character and what it was like to play him, but also what it was like to work with Paul as a director.
Perfect. So I think we just got to start all the way from the beginning. So
Okay.
So I received an email from Zan Caston, who did an amazing job of finding the people for this film, along with Paul. So I got an email that I initially bypassed, but then I received a text message from my friend that was so ecstatic about this opportunity, and he sent it to me like, "Yo, this is for you. This fits your character. This is like who you actually are in real life." And I was very hesitant because I only did one previous film before, and that was a role. And I never was a part of a feature film, and I just got my feet wet with that first acting opportunity. And the confidence for me to even get into the acting world was because I was already immersed into the hip hop culture. As you mentioned earlier, as far as my dad, the legacy of Kippy D, rest in peace, of Rocksteady crew. And so I'm coming off of a lot of knowledge and wisdom, just understanding who he was as a man. And so when this film comes around, I'm a little nervous about the acting chops, but I get the sense that Max is a kid looking for his way through a troublesome life, but is the goodness out of all of it. And, he sees himself as such, and he's open, he's vulnerable, he's willing to grow, he's learning, he's an understudy for a DJ, he wants to be great. And I'm like, well, that's me. I rap, I dance, I do most of that. I don't DJ, but much respect. And so I understand what it is to just learn and grow. So me and the character was so intertwined in that sense that by the time, me and Paul had our initial conversation, once again, I was just like, you know what? I think Paul can give me the missing keys that, as far as what I would need for acting, but as far as hip hop and the drama that it would need to make this film come alive, that's already my life.
Awesome. Well, guys, I've got to say again, congratulations on such a fantastic film. And I guess to finish up, what would you both like to say to people out there before they sit down to watch Wheels now it's available online?
You first or me, Arn?
You can set it off, Paul.
Yeah, I would say, when I set out to make the film, I wanted a film that left you, asking questions and leaving the theater maybe wondering what would happen next. And I think we can all relate to this in a way. So I think that that's the feeling that I hope people would get, that they have questions and curiosity forms from seeing the film. And also, if you're a filmmaker out there wanting to make your dream come true, that you should go for it and do it, and you should give it your all and just try your best, and that's the best you can do.
Definitely. Well, Arnstar, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to both of you, and I know a lot of our listeners are going to go out and watch Wheels now.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, David.
Not a problem, guys.
Had a great time.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll let you go. Have a great night, and hopefully I get to chat to both of you again in the future.
Excellent. We look forward to it.
Awesome. See you later. Bye.
Peace.